Okay, I'm back. Thought I was recording and I wasn't. So, Holy Smoke and Pipe Padre saying howdy, and let's get going here. So, I am smoking tonight what I affectionately call my squash tomato Dunhill. I love this pipe, and I'm smoking in it some Boswell's Paradise. Yes, and it's quite tasty. Now, I am making this video a little bit after, well, it's almost 8:30. That's really late for me. And I have to tell you, been feeling like a kind of a bad headache. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit better, and I don't know exactly why I have a headache. I was introduced today to a beverage that I had seen about a year ago, and I had wanted to try it. Now it was called Bubble Up, not 7-Up, but Bubble Up, and it's a caffeinated sparkling soda, sugar-free. And I like the sparkling sodas like the lemon and the orange, and I guess they even make peach and mango and all that, but there's no sugar in them, but they're carbonated, and I really find those to be quite refreshing. And because they don't have sugar, I really do enjoy those. A nice crisp beverage, and it's they really can be really refreshing. About last year, when I was on my giving up caffeine, which I did this year again, I saw those in the store, and I almost picked up a pack, and a 6-pack of those, because it was a warm spring afternoon, I think it was, and I thought, I'll get some sodas, some sugar-free sodas. And then all of a sudden I looked on the label, and they have it on the label to where you can just barely read it, and it says caffeinated Bubble Up or caffeinated sparkling water or something to that nature. And I went, oh. Now I didn't get them because I had given up caffeine for Lent, but in my back of my mind I said, I want to make sure I remember this product because I think I might want to try it after I reintroduce caffeine and coffee into my life again and at Easter time. Well, I completely forgot about it last year, and then this morning, we had a meeting, and somebody brought these, and I said, oh, I've heard about these, I've seen these, and I want to try it, and I'll tell you what, it was absolutely delicious and refreshing, and yes, it had caffeine in it. Now, I'm kind of thinking that it might have had a really potent kick of caffeine, and that's why maybe I got a little bit of a headache, and then we also had a very stressful meeting, and I'll get into that in a moment because it ties in with everything that I want to say tonight. But because of this gentleman right here, I wonder if I can do a little tracking there. This gentleman right here, and by the way, he is a true African American. Fact check true. Just wanted to say that. Because of what Mr. Elon Musk has done, at least the promise, it seems to be his buying out of Twitter. And if you again, it might sound like a very bold statement to make, but nonetheless, I'm going to make it because I guess I can now. Kind of reinstituted a thing called the First Amendment. Free speech in America is alive and well today. Well, we'll see. Again, he hasn't quite closed the deal. I guess he's pretty much closing the deal. And a lot of people in Twitter headquarters are committing seppuku, as they should, because of their shock and the shock and awe of Elon Musk. He's taking over Twitter and actually going to let people have opinions again and not block people or not silence people or ban people. Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of refreshing, just like the Bubble Up with the caffeine. It's quite refreshing and invigorating, and it's really a nice win for free speech. Now again, we don't know 100% what's going to happen, but it does seem like, again, kind of a sea change may be happening in the last 48 hours, based upon the people who have the gall to talk about, how they're just horrified and, oh my God, free speech, letting people have their opinions and say so again. This is terrible. And so it feels great. I got to say, it feels great. And it kind of has emboldened me just to be able to say things that up until maybe 48 hours ago, you had to really be careful what you said because, you run the wrath of the politically correct, Things like, all lives matter. Yeah, you can say that. I mean, you could have said it back then, but you'd be punished for it. You'd probably be banned from YouTube or Twitter, certainly. You could say things like BLM and Antifa, and I'm going to say something that might offend a few of you, LGBT or fascist organizations. I'll explain that in a minute. You can say that, now that's my opinion. I can say that's my opinion. You could say things like there was a phony election, a rigged election, and the current man in the White House is an illegitimate incumbent, okay? They stifled a lot of free speech, clearly, on Twitter and what is the other one? TikTok and YouTube even, You can say things like, unvaccinated people are not the problem. You can even say things like the vaccines are experimental and they've caused lots of injuries and even taken people's lives. They're dangerous, and to be unvaccinated, there's nothing wrong with being unvaccinated. You can also say that natural immunity is far superior to any experimental injection that you might have had or considered taking. It's okay not to take the jab. It's okay. You can say that now. People may not like it, and they might stop following you, and they might even say mean, nasty things back at you. But now, if you hold those other opinions that have been considered to be inappropriate or illegitimate or unauthorized, you could say, I back the Canadian truckers. I think the Canadian truckers, you go truckers, way to go Canada, I support the Canadian truckers, okay? I think Justin Trudeau is a tyrant. I think Joe Biden is a fascist, okay? All these things that people probably were thinking but were afraid to say because they'd be punished because of the people that were in charge of the platforms. Now, it looks like free speech is back. It's kind of a wonderful concept. And it feels kind of nice to be able to voice your opinions. Yeah, and I don't expect people to always agree with me. A lot of people don't. And that's okay. You have the right to disagree. Now, I said something a minute ago that might have upset some of you. I don't dislike LGBT people. I don't. But I certainly do dislike the LGBT agenda. And their agenda was basically kind of the foundation at Twitter and even, I guess, YouTube and other places where you couldn't say certain things. You couldn't believe it. In fact, they were trying to force, not all, now again, I'm not saying all people that are of the gay persuasion are kind of, in that league that want to silence everybody that disagrees with them. But if you said, for example, if I disagreed based on Catholic or Christian morality that I disagree with the gay lifestyle, I disagree with transgenderism, okay? I do think that is really, really something people need to stand up against because you're taking innocent little children and you're exposing them to this silly, perverted agenda. Look, at what men and women do in the privacy of their homes, that's between them and their consenting adults. But when you're forcing gender theory on these little innocent children, that's inappropriate. There's no need for that. No need whatsoever. And to then encourage and even almost bully. Yeah, talk about bullying. Yeah, that's what we got from the people that were running Twitter, silencing people they didn't like Donald Trump and Joe Rogan and Milo Yiannopoulos and all these other people that had a difference of opinion. Oh, you can't speak. We're not going to let you, we're going to silence you. And even in our church, for the last couple of decades, we've had people that basically have said, you can't say those things anymore. And you say, yeah, but this is what the church teaches. You can't say that. So we had a meeting today, and sure enough, there were a couple of people that got really angry and said, you're not supposed to say that. I said, no, but that's what the church teaches. Again, it's one thing to say that, we're not supposed to discriminate against LGBT people, but that doesn't mean that we endorse the gay lifestyle because, June's coming up, big Pride Month thing, and all the rainbow things go up. And there's a lot of Catholic churches now that are flying rainbow flags. And you know what? No, the Catholic Church is very clear that it calls LGBT people to chastity, okay? It calls them to repentance, just like all sinners. I'm a sinner, okay? I'm called to humble myself and accept the teachings of the church, not the teachings of the LGBT, or even, if you want to go the opposite direction, the heterosexual, let's say, the libertine heterosexual people, who are into open marriage and hookups and all that sort of stuff. That's wrong too. That's just as wrong. And heterosexual people are called to chastity just like LGBT people are called to chastity. We are not called to endorse or approve or, celebrate, quote unquote, the LGBT. We accept homosexual people who have same-sex attraction. We accept them and we love them, but we want them, just like every other sinner, we're calling them to legitimate repentance and conversion, okay, to be set free. I have a dear friend who was in the LGBT movement. His name is Joe Shambra. He has videos on YouTube. You might want to check them out. There are other gay people that have come out of the gay lifestyle. You might want to check them out. It may not be for you. You may not want to hear their message, but they have a right to share their opinion. And that's what we celebrate with Elon Musk bringing back the First Amendment and protected speech. It's not hate speech. Just because I disagree with certain people, just because I think all lives matter, I think abortion is one of the most evil things in the whole wide world. But up until recently, you really couldn't say that. I mean, you could, but you would get in a lot of trouble. You'd probably get banned. You'd probably get censored. You'd probably get deplatformed, or you'd get a strike, And I may still even get a strike on this video. I don't know. But again, free speech is alive and well. And again, I'm not a big Elon Musk fan. I don't drive a Tesla. I'm not into, trying to save the planet, because I don't even think if there was, reality, if there was an asteroid coming our way, then folks, you might as well make your peace with God and others, because there ain't much you can do or anybody else can do. Okay. It's just, that's a fact of life. Okay. So, God, God tells us there's going to be a new heavens and a new earth. This earth, this world, this life is passing away. That's why we need to take seriously what the church teaches and not what, the political pundits say, or in the church or outside the church. Okay. I know there are a lot of people today that, want to believe in global warming or climate change and, and all these rights activist things. And, at the end of the day, all they are is angry, frustrated people that run around and scream and yell at people and throw temper tantrums because somebody has a difference of opinion that challenges them. I'm sorry, but, if you're challenged by some of the things that I've said so far, well, welcome to the world of free speech, okay? And to silence people because you disagree with them and try to punish them, that's a form of bullying right there. A lot of these people are all against bullying, and well, that's the ultimate form of bullying, that and abortion, when you basically silence helpless people, or you basically take away their privileges and their rights, and then you don't give them a chance to speak on your platform. And yeah, I know that Twitter and YouTube are privately owned companies, but they are, unfortunately, they're one-sided, and I think you even do a disservice to yourself when you aren't open to hearing other people who may disagree with you. And I'll say this is going to be a challenge to some, but the reason why the Proposition 8 went down several years ago was because Judge Von Walker, you can look this up, he refused to hear moral arguments. Said, I'll hear any other arguments, but you can't bring these Christian moral arguments. I ain't hearing them. Well, he basically took away the ability of a person. It was just basically silencing. It was like, you might as well just go take some duct tape and put it on their mouth and say, okay, now make your argument. Because he wasn't going to hear those arguments. Well, it was a one-sided argument. So, people that were opposed to this, sorry, but they didn't get a chance to present their case because they weren't allowed to speak. That is not a debate. That is not an argument. Okay? And I think that in the long run, maybe it did a disservice to a lot of these people because, instead of them, because basically it was one-handed. It was just kind of like, okay, we're going to do this and you can't say anything about it. Well, Those days may be over, folks. Again, I'm not here to tell people that they can't, be with who they want to be with, but at the same time, they can't. And again, one of the reasons why I'm kind of very adamant about LGBT agenda is because those people would love and have tried to silence Christians and Catholics and conservatives, And it's sad because they don't want to, they cannot argue based on their own merits. They have to silence people. Well, that's not an argument. That's not legitimate speech, okay? So if that offends you and it challenges you, makes you upset and angry, well, welcome to the real world of adult, give and take, So anyway, but I got on here tonight only because, like I said, I got kind of a bad headache. And I was thinking, oh man, I don't want to make a video. I'm tired. But at the same time, I said, you know what? I need to exercise my free speech and just say, hey, this is what I believe. And you're free to choose to agree or disagree. You can leave a comment and tell me why I'm wrong, or, again, it's okay to disagree. See, I think that's a healthy thing to disagree. And the people that have been running these platforms like Twitter and all the other rest, they're just a bunch of weirdos and freaks that just cannot hear. Oh my gosh, they're like little kids going, it's almost like, no, 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 I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear. That's childish. Grow up. Put your big boy pants on. Put your big girl pants on, And yeah, there are two genders, and that's it, folks. Sorry, you don't want to hear that. That's biology speaking. That's science, not politics. And I have to say more here about the transgender thing. I think that's almost like what Mengele did in Auschwitz, okay? It's a crime. And there are young people that are now detransitioning. They're out there, if you care to choose to listen to those people, and they are filled with regrets. I mean, they have been maimed and scarred for life. And shame on people that were encouraging them to do that. Would you encourage a 5-year-old if he said he was Superman or Batman and encouraged him to stand on the roof or a bridge and jump off? Well, you are what you believe you are. If you believe you're a superhero, then you're a superhero. That's bogus. That's criminal. Little kids want to be all sorts of things. They want to be dinosaurs. They want to be truck drivers. They want to be doctors. They want to be nurses. They want to be teachers. They want to be whatever. They want to be, magical creatures, okay? But you don't encourage them to actually try and do those crazy things. There comes a time when you say, okay, Johnny, come on in, Sally. It's time to put away your super cape and let's have breakfast, wash up for dinner. Okay, it's okay to indulge to a certain extent, but man, the things that these people are perpetrating on innocent little kids. Whatever happened to just basic arithmetic and writing and spelling their name? Don't you remember those days when you were just trying to, write your name? And now you're talking to them about, homosexual crap? I'm sorry, but that upsets me. It should upset all adults. There's a time and a place to talk about human sexuality, but 5 and 6, 7-year little preschoolers and little, kindergartners and first graders and second, third, and fourth graders, that ain't the time, folks. That just is not the time. I mean, unfortunately, and I've talked to a lot of people who, unfortunately, had been introduced to, just straight heterosexual stuff, and they'll tell you it scarred them. And they were like little kids, maybe, 7 or 8 years old, and they saw the Playboy magazines or the Penthouse magazines, and they said it kind of messed them up for a long time. Yeah. Okay. There's certain things that you just don't introduce to kids. It's not age appropriate. And shame on these LGBT people that are trying to force their agenda. I mean, that's just irresponsible. Be like telling a kid, well, I got a little Jack Daniels here. It might help you out here. You might, it might be good for you. You wouldn't do that or give them drugs. Well, maybe they would. How irresponsible. And people have been afraid to say things about this. There's a few people that are out there that are, trying to speak some sanity, even though they know that a lot of people are angry at them and they hate them and they are opposed to them. But because, up until recently, they couldn't say a lot of these things because they would get into trouble. Well, now I think we have a level playing field. And, you need to be able to speak the truth, even if it makes other people angry and mad, or they disagree. That's fine. That's fair, And it hasn't been fair up until, maybe 48 hours ago, because people were it's interesting. A lot of people are finding out that now Twitter people that have been banned, shadow banned, and deplatformed, all of a sudden now they're, oh my gosh, they're getting all these new subscribers and followers and views, and like, where did this all come from? We're going to find out, I think, with Elon Musk, that there's been a lot of shenanigans that these people have pulled, and like I said, free speech is back, and it's wonderful. It's a great thing. Because when we dialogue and really talk about things, instead of yelling and telling somebody to shut up and then you turn off their mic, I remember Ronald Reagan was in a debate one time and they tried to turn his mic down. He said, "I paid for this microphone and you're going to listen," And it was kind of like, okay, all right, okay, you're right, because they tried to turn his mic off. And he made it very clear that, no, you don't get to do that. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now with Elon coming back and saying, no, everybody has a voice. You may not appreciate it, you may not agree with it, you may not like it, you might find it offensive, you might even find it threatening, but they have a voice, okay? And just because you call something hate speech doesn't make it so. Just because you disagree with somebody doesn't make them a racist, a misogynist, or a white supremacist, or what have you. You can call people all these names in the book, but you know what? Those days are probably coming to an end real fast because they don't hold any weight. They don't hold any legitimate reason behind them. They're just epithets that people throw at other people to try to shut them up. So it doesn't work. It may not work anymore, folks. So you people on the other side of the fence that are angry and upset what Elon's doing and giving people like me and others free speech rights, our God-given free rights of speech, the First Amendment, and you don't like that, well, maybe you need to grow up a little bit and accept the reality that just because you disagree with somebody and you don't like their opinion doesn't give you the right to silence somebody just because you don't like what they have to say. You don't have to listen. You don't have to agree. You can dislike the person. You can dislike him. You can respond with comments if you want. But that doesn't give you the right to silence somebody, to take away their right of free speech. And again, just because you think it's bad or it hurts your feelings, that's okay. Yeah, there are a lot of people that disagree with me and my faith. They hate the Catholic Church. They want to say we're all a bunch of this and a bunch of that, and look at all the bad things that you guys as Catholics and Christians did over the centuries. And okay, fine, let's talk about it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I think a lot of it's just stereotypical things that people bring up to say, try to discredit an individual or their group or whatever. Okay, fine. Let's talk about it. But you can't silence people. I think that's, as long as Elon is going to be making those changes to benefit everybody, give everybody a level playing field. It's sort of like that guy, what's his name, Thomas, the one that's pretending to be a girl. And, he's out there, out swimming these young women, robbing them of their ability to become Olympian athletes because, here's this big Gorky duck guy who can outswim these girls. I hear he's going to challenge some fourth graders in a 50-yard dash next week, too. I hope he's really proud of himself. Again, that's not a level playing field, folks. That's not fair, okay? So if you want to compete, and my whole thing about you transgender types out there, you want to do transgender Olympics? I have nothing against that. Just compete with other transgenders. That's fair, okay? That would be fair. But, to challenge, people that are clearly biologically not in the same class. I'm not saying that they're weaker and whatever, but there's a different class. That's why you have in boxing, you have the lightweight, the middleweight, and the heavyweight, okay? You don't see a lightweight guy. You don't see a heavyweight guy going and beating up all the lightweight guys. Everybody say that's unfair. That's not. It's a you have a disadvantage, or you have an unfair advantage over those other people. Okay, it's the same concept. And yet you're not supposed to say that because there are more than two genders now. Well, no, there's only, biology is either you have an X and X chromosome or an X and a Y chromosome, and that's all you get. There are no other XYZ chromosomes or, it's like, but the thing is that the people that have been controlling the media platforms, the social network platforms, they have had an unfair advantage, and they've been taking away the rights of other people because they don't want to hear opposing opinions. Okay, thank you, Mr. Musk, but I think, and again, we'll see. Again, he could turn out to be just as big of a dictator as Wojcicki and YouTube and Jack, what's his name, and Zuckerberg and all the other tech oligarchs. Maybe who knows? He could turn out to be, he might be maybe trolling everybody. I don't know. But if he basically does believe in free speech for all people, then I think it'll be a new day in America, and that might be a good thing for everybody. But because a lot of people are walking around in their little echo chambers, and then it's like you can't say certain things, because I mean, how many times did I get harangued when I went to the hospital when I was sick because I didn't feel comfortable getting the vaccine? I can count 4 times, and it was very uncomfortable. Instead of trying to treat a sick person, they were haranguing and even lecturing me and harassing me because I didn't get the vaccine. And now it turns out that somebody like myself, who has natural immunity, has a far greater ability to fight off any future COVID variations. Okay, that's a scientific fact now. But they don't want to. You don't want to hear that either, because we can't say that. We can't give that an audience. Oh gosh, no. And you talk about how ineffective, and everybody knows this, but they don't want to say it. Ineffective the vaccines, the quote unquote vaccines are. How ineffective these things are, and not only that, how injurious they are. Okay, I'm a vaccine. I've had a vaccine injury. All right. And a lot of people are not only having vaccine injuries, they're dying. Mysteriously just dropping dead. Getting blood clots. Young people dropping dead. Getting sick. Wondering what happened. Well, I'll tell you what happened. It's the vaccines. 9 times out of 10, we'll probably find out now that things are going to be a little more open and free speech. We're probably going to hear some things that a lot of people are going to be really alarmed to hear. Like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have gotten that vaccine after all. No, you shouldn't. And the reason why I would never get one is because of where it comes from. Aborted stem cells. I mean, it would be just like Dr. Mengele made a cocktail out of the corpses of Holocaust victims and said, here, take this. This is good for you. I think most people would say, where did that come from? I ain't putting that in my body. Not only no, but hell no. But you weren't allowed to say that. And if you did say it like I did, you got into a lot of trouble. And you get in trouble if you question, well, I have some concerns about this experimental gene therapy. Well, it's not experimental. It's safe. Really? As the guy falls over dead. We got a couple of those lady comedians. This one lady comedian was talking about how she'd gotten all these vaccines and has been boosted, and then all of a sudden she went locked up, just like a vapor lock. Boom. And people thought it was part of her act, and they found out, no, she actually had a bad reaction to the vaccine. Thank God was watching her. It's like, oh, you want to play around with this thing? Okay, we can play that game. Yeah. But it's just, I guess I've gotten to a point where I've been so frustrated at the fact that I can't, or I was not allowed to have an opinion because it varied from the politically correct one. And even though maybe the facts would say, kind of validate, saying, well, that's not exactly, you're not exactly wrong there either. And I go, well, that's what I was thinking. Again, we have a lot of people in the church today that think that, well, Catholics can be pro-choice, they can be pro-LGBT, and it's all good. But when you show them, well, this is what the church actually teaches. Oh, they don't want to hear that. Oh, no. You're not supposed to say those things. But that's what, again, it's based on truth. And that's where I have had a real conflict, because I'm going, but that's not what the church teaches, There are no such things as Catholic for free choice. That's not a Catholic teaching. That was made up by a bunch of pro-abort people that wanted to just slap Catholic on everything. The Catholic Church does not support the LGBT agenda. Sorry. We believe, and the church teaches and has for 2,000 years, marriage is between one man and one woman. That's it. And if you have a problem with that, then you have a problem with that. But don't try and tell other people because they believe what the church teaches that they're wrong. And we have a lot of now priests, and I guess there's a lot of bishops in Germany that basically say, we don't care what the church teaches, we want to change the church. We want to make it into something different. Well, if you want to, okay, they have every right to leave the church and to start something new. I mean, they kind of did it before in Germany, God bless them. Remember that guy named Martin Luther, that's what he did. At least he had the integrity to say, I can't stay here, I believe something else, and he left. Started his own group, okay? Then that's perfectly fine. But to hijack and then mistreat and marginalize and silence people who are trying to stand up for the faith and say that they're bad and evil and short-sighted and bigoted and homophobic and all these other things, sorry, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. That's not legitimate. Start your own religion if you want to. That's your call. But don't hijack. It'd be like somebody coming into your home, a complete stranger, and saying, we're taking over. And isn't that kind of what's happening in our country with the immigration thing, right? All these billions of people basically coming here, they don't want to be Americans. They just want to invade this country. Most of them, not saying all of them, but most of them, they're looking for a free handout. And they don't care about our laws. You and I tried going to other countries and do it. Even trying going to Mexico. Let's say you wanted to go into Mexico, you're going to have to go through their immigration process. You can't go to Canada. You can't go crashing the gates in Canada. Good luck on trying that. Even Justin Trudeau's going to stop you there. One of the few things he might actually do. Of course, if you're an American trying to go to Canada, more chances are you're not going to get in anyway. I mean, I can't get into Canada if I wanted to because I'm not vaccinated. Thank you, Justin Trudeau, you little tyrant. But anyway, but I think there's been a sea change in the last 48 hours. I'm hoping. I'd rather have an open dialogue, an open, honest dialogue, even if people disagree and dislike me, than just to be told to shut up and obey. You will obey us. Because that is just raw abuse of that's tyranny. And that's wrong. And I'm sorry if you don't like people who would disagree with you. I don't know how you made it to adulthood. Maybe a lot of you just are living in your mom's basement, I guess, and doing Twitter and living in your echo chambers, and God love you. But sorry, folks. Like I said, today was, I've been listening to a lot of the returns, to a lot of the people that are, happy and very, very positive about this whole change. And of course, there's the people that aren't. They're crying and they're just crying bitter tears and, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? See, what they did was these people, they basically made Twitter and YouTube a safe space for them. Their safe space. And they got to call the rules. They got to call the shots. It's kind of like those kids in school. Some of those little whiny kids that somehow figured out how they can, run for class president and stuff. And then they they get elected and then they start trying to implement some of their little rules. And a lot of people go, wait a minute, whoa, hold the phone. Wait, I didn't vote for that. Might have voted for you in the beginning, but I don't want, and now people are starting to come back and say, wait a minute, this isn't right. Sorry. We need to change here. Okay. And I think it's a great change. I'd rather be living in a land where people have the freedom to say what they believe and disagree. If you disagree, then that's fine. But everybody gets to say so. Right now, I mean, think about it. They're talking about, oh, this is going to change politics. You might be able to silence a candidate, and you won't be able to make it so he doesn't get people's attention. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what you people did on the left. Remember President Donald Trump? Yeah. Oh, but he mean tweets people. Oh, so what? Mostly, Donald Trump was just an entertainer, and he kept people going. He was trolling a lot of people. So what? And other people got upset and worried and nervous and threatened and upset. And come on, people, come on. I can't believe how childish so many people have been. Grow up. Accept the fact that we live in a world that not everybody's going to love you and pat you on the back and give you an appreciation award or a participation trophy, or, you're going to win some kind of a prize for just showing up and breathing. Okay? It just doesn't work that way. There's a thing called merit. There's a thing called, if you want something bad enough, you go out and you work for it. Whether you're trying to get views on your channel, if that's what you're into, or you're trying to get a degree, or you're trying to build a business. It's going to make sense if you go out there and you put the effort into working. And yeah, you're going to have all sorts of setbacks. You're going to have people that disagree. You're going to have people that have different ideas. You're going to have people that are going to challenge you or point out some of the flaws in your own arguments. That's part of life. But if all you're going to do is put your fingers in the ear and say, "No, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this," you know what? You're foolish. That's what I'll say. You're foolish, okay? So open up your ears, join the debate, and stop telling people that, well, I think you're wrong. I don't agree with your opinions, and I'm not going to let you say what you have to say anymore because I don't like you, and I don't like you hurt my feelings. So we're going to turn you off, or we're going to silence you, or we're going to shadow ban you, or we're going to delete you, we're going to deplatform you. That's not the way adults deal with things. So anyway, boy, just venting my spleen tonight. Yes, I am. Yeah. Well, it feels good. It feels good to be able to just say what you really think, say what you really believe, and not have to worry about being censored or being punished. Because that's what a lot of people have been thinking. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble if I say this. I could lose my job. If I say the wrong thing, I'm going to get in trouble. Again, I'm not telling people that they can go on in free speech and start making threats. Interestingly enough, that some of the people on the left that were into the vegan movement, they were actually threatening to kill people. They never got deplatformed. I'm talking about you, vegan gains. Little wacko. Guy would take out a knife and he'd go, I want to do this to those people. He talked about killing babies. He never got in trouble for that. And his own vegan people, they basically turned a blind eye and a deaf ear. Oh, well, that's just him. That's okay. He didn't really mean it. Or, But if somebody like me says, I disagree with, BLM, oh my gosh, we got to censor you. We're gonna get you in trouble. You say all lives matter, or you say Antifa is a bunch of thugs and anarchists, and they need to be opposed. They need to be challenged. They need to be locked up, especially when they burnt property and assaulted people. Those are crimes. Yeah. Am I for locking those people up? You betcha. If they break the law, yeah, they need to. Any one of us that goes out and breaks the law, threatens other people, yes, they need to be held accountable for that. But just to say all lives matter because you don't like it and it hurts your feelings, that's not a crime. I'm sorry. That's not hate speech. That's true. All lives do matter. Whether you're black, brown, blue, polka dots with green stripes, hey, all lives matter. Okay? And that's not a hate speech. It's actually, it should be protected speech because that's my opinion and I have a right to my opinion. You may not like it. You may disagree. And that's what is living in a free, open society is all about. And right up until the last 48 hours, we were moving more and more slipping into the tyranny. You couldn't say certain things. That's like living in, communist Russia. That's like living in Nazi Germany. You can't disagree with the state. You can't disagree with the people that are in control, are in power. Because if you do, you're in trouble. They're going to come knocking at your door at 2 a.m. and they're taking you away. No one's going to see you again. We were heading in that direction. And if things don't rapidly change, which I'm hoping they are now, that could still happen. We could still wake up in that type of a world. Because there's a lot of people that are on sign it and would co-sign that kind of a world. Let's arrest all the people that disagree with us and let's put them in concentration camps. And they were even talking about that. That's not hyperbole, that's the truth. They were talking about taking all vaccinated people and locking them up. And that was a reality. And I think in some places, I guess maybe even in China, they are doing that. Well, you know what? They are. They are locking everybody up in China, in Shanghai, right? So I'm not making this stuff up, folks. You may not want to hear it, you may not like it, but this is where we're at today. And if it hadn't been for people like Elon Musk and other people maybe who are trying to say, wait a minute, this isn't right, this is wrong. Everybody gets the freedom of speech. First Amendment. Boy, when you think about our amendments and how wonderful they are, you just want to embrace them all the more tightly, because they apply to everybody. I don't care what your race is, your ethnicity is, your political beliefs are, your orientations are. Everybody has those basic human rights, but they've been trying to eliminate those for certain people. You can speak, you can hold your opinions, but you can't, and we're going to shut you up. That is wrong. That's tyranny. So maybe, just maybe, we dodged a bullet, literally, for a lot of us, because we were looking at, being pretty much persecuted. You don't get the vaccine, we're going to fire you. You don't get the vaccine, you don't get to go shopping anymore. You don't get the vaccine, you don't even get to go to the hospital. I was even told, and this isn't me making this up, but when I was sick with the coronavirus last August, and I said, so if my oxygen levels were low enough, would you admit me? And they said, oh no, we couldn't admit you because you're not vaccinated. Oh, really? See, I don't get medical care now because I'm one of the unclean people. I'm one of those unvaccinated people. I'm not making that up. That actually, I was really told that by a doctor. Oh no, we couldn't admit you because you're not vaccinated. Oh, okay. I didn't say anything other than that, but I kind of think to myself, good, I don't want to be admitted to your hospital. That's the kind of care that you have. I mean, what about your Hippocratic oath, doctor, right? Our world has really gotten really twisted. And this might begin the beginnings of untwisting it just a little bit. Maybe. I'm hoping. Because, it's been pretty ugly. People on the left talk about how they're abused and how they're marginalized. And, well, guess what, folks? They say that those who have been oppressed become the next group of oppressors. And these people, and some of you I'm talking to, you have become the oppressors. Maybe you didn't think you were, but you have become that. Just take a good look in the mirror because you're an oppressor. If you are silent somebody because they don't hold opinions that are contrary to yours and you find their opinions threatening and you're now silencing those people, you have become the oppressor. That is a reality. That's why I think the works of Dr. Jordan B. Peterson are very, very eye-opening because, he was talking about when he was a young man reading all about the concentration camps in Nazi Germany and reading all those horrible stories about how the guards mistreated those poor, sick, weak people when they arrived at those camps, and how they would humiliate them and abuse them, and they did it with this cold indifference, almost, and even a little bit of a smile and a glint in their eye, like, I get to cause you suffering. And what Jordan Peterson says, if you ever listen to on that one lecture, he said it wasn't just enough for me to say, oh, I could never conscience that kind of suffering of other human beings. And then he began to realize, well, wait a minute. Here are educated people that were probably at one time would be considered decent, good people, and yet they found themselves degenerating into those kinds of evil oppressors. And he said, so if they could become that, what's stopping me from becoming an oppressor? And he said, I had to stop and say, instead of looking at the World War II scenarios and say, oh, I'd be the hero, I'd be the guy fighting to liberate these people. He goes, no, the reality is that I probably could have been very easily one of the people that was causing all this evil and suffering on other people. If the conditions had been just right, I too could have been an oppressor. And I think a lot of people on the left, because they were angry at people on the right, they became oppressive. They became oppressors. They don't recognize it yet, but they did. And that's a bad place to be. You don't want to be there either, So those of you who are angry and mad at Elon and people like me, just think about it. You were becoming the oppressors. You're willing to lock people up because they didn't get vaccinated or because they held opinions different than your own. And you didn't want to tolerate those people. And you were thinking, yeah, let's put them in concentration camps. A lot of people were saying that. Please God that we've gotten a moment of pause to say, wait a minute, we don't want to become those kinds of people either. And the way you don't become those kinds of people is by being open and saying, okay, we live in a free society, and I don't have to listen to everybody. I don't have to believe everything that everybody espouses, but I can say, okay, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. You're entitled to that. I disagree. I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong, but that person has a right to what they believe. And as long as you're not trying to silence them, because it starts, with the media thing, but how far do you take that? Like, well, that's not good enough. These people are still breathing. They're still free. We got to lock them up. We got to take them to the gas chamber. How dare these people live? And there were people that were literally saying that. Like, these people, if they need to be put in camps, re-educated, and if they don't re-educate, then we need to they need to stop breathing. I've heard people say that. Now, fortunately, not a lot of people were saying that, but enough to where it was concerning. It starts real small, right? From little acorns, right? So hopefully we've planted some new seeds of acorns of freedom, and that will hopefully bear good fruit and freedom for all people, not just a few people that feel threatened by other opinions. That's all. Oh my goodness. Well, I think I have exhausted my free speech for one night, and I thank you for taking the time to listen. And if you would like to leave a comment and either agree or disagree, or talk about whatever you want to talk about. Maybe you want to talk about your newest pipe. Maybe you want to talk about the newest tobacco that you discovered the last couple of months, or maybe you found a new tobacco store. That's another thing. Again, the reason why we don't have access to a lot of pipes and pipe tobaccos is because people on the left, because they didn't like it, they wanted to shut it all down. And okay, I'm not here to advocate that you take up the hobby of smoking a pipe, but there are worse things that you can do with your life. Okay. And if you find that smoking a pipe brings you a little bit of peace and comfort and tranquility and enjoyment, I don't see anything wrong with that, okay? But I'm not going to tell a 5-year-old, oh, here, son, here, have a pipe and light up with me, I'm not going to do that. That's age inappropriate, okay? So, but just use some common sense. A lot of this could be resolved by people having common sense, saying, well, I disagree with you, or that's a good point, or whatever it is. But instead of saying, well, I got to silence that guy. I got to get rid of that voice. We got to stifle that person. How dare they say what they just said, That's not the America that I was born in, folks. And a lot of you, it's the same thing. So hopefully we'll reclaim our birthright to free speech and light up our world by lighting up our pipe and speaking our truth, okay? Speaking the truth actually is even more important. Because when you speak the truth, everybody benefits, not just a few people. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, okay? Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching tonight. We'll see you soon in the next one. Take care.